The unfortunate reality of politics in America is that most people just aren't engaged. Whether that's because they are intimidated by the friction that they see or deterred by a sense of futility that nothing gets done, the vast majority rarely engage in politics beyond casting their vote every 2 to 4 years. So let me ask you a question. When you've thought about jumping in and sharing your thoughts on issues, have you ever found yourself saying anything like the following? Maybe, I just don't know enough about it, or what I have to say won't really matter. Try this one. I just don't have the time right now, or I've never done it. I wouldn't know what to say. Do any of those sound familiar? These are some of the most common responses I hear when folks are asked to participate in advocacy campaigns. And successful advocacy organizations have quite a lift ahead of them to get prospective advocates over those barriers. From my point of view, there are really four key barriers behind these statements that prevent people from really leaning into issue advocacy. See if any of these ring true for you too. Number one, time commitment. How you perceive the burden of participation will impact your life. Two, self perception and doubt, questioning your own abilities to participate effectively. Three, diminished understanding of your inherent value, belief that your contributions ultimately won't matter. Or four, perceived lack of knowledge, a belief that you can't or won't be considered as an expert on an issue. Everyone I know has some kind of issue they really deeply believe in. For me, advocating for veterans is one of those really personal issues. It's something that gets me out of bed and excited to go to battle. But I also recognize that it's a little easier for me because I've trained in this field. I've been trained in effective ways to engage with political offices, and I've worked for those offices, often witnessing the really good and the really bad in action. Any good advocacy organization, a nonprofit, a trade association, a community group, any that are worth their salt, understand the need to help their advocates overcome these barriers. So how do they do it? Well, first, we constantly adapt to new technologies so our volunteers can take action in increasingly easier ways. What used to take writing a personal mailed letter now happens through text messages and online forums. It's now easier than ever to participate in causes because good organizations are working to make it that way. Secondly, we as an industry have to find better ways to convey the importance of your personal story in affecting change. There is massive value behind the lived experiences of those facing the problems we're trying to fix. Unfortunately, a lot of groups still fall short of empowering the necessary storytelling that effective advocacy requires. Instead, we tend to default toward data, facts, and figures. That kind of focus does nothing but dissuade would-be advocates. If you're serious about a cause, I want to challenge you today to shop around to find organizations who don't make that mistake. Find organizations that prioritize putting your story front and center. Lastly, effective organizations lean into facilitating relationship building. More often than not, you aren't going to deliver a yes for your cause the first time you meet with a decision maker. Instead, effective advocates focus on relationship building, adding value to their targets, and becoming a long-term resource for them. That's the tough work of advocacy, but I think it is immensely more palatable than challenging our volunteers to memorize talking points, facts, and figures, or to push for an immediate yes in the meeting. It's just more realistic that we will keep you in the fight if we help you understand the value of positive movement toward impactful relationships. But what should you, as someone interested in politics and advocacy, do to prepare yourself to get over these barriers yourself? Well, start by asking yourself which barriers are in your way. Ask yourself, if this issue is so damn important to me, why can't I get myself to send an email to my representative? Am I hiding behind an excuse like I don't know how to do it? If you are, stick around, subscribe, and keep an eye out for new content here that will help you crack that code.